on this portion clearly, and we've been going down this road for a while now, going back to every time we've talked about reducing testing, really what it's been about is reducing the local portion of the test and eroding more and more local control and getting more and more towards complete state control. And when we talk about these local assessments, there's a huge difference between these local assessments and the standardized tests we give at the state level. Some of these are very, very short measures that allow the teacher to see how their students are doing and plan their instruction accordingly. Imagine that, testing to inform instruction. That's what testing should be for. Not a gotcha game for the teachers, not a way to have us sit for hours and hours and just take tests for the sake of putting forth evaluations and saying, you know, we have this many that are subpar and everything else, and labeling kids as failures. That's not what testing should be for. So I'd like to, think that we got to this point that we did with this executive budget proposal overnight, that suddenly there was an attack on local control and on the teaching profession and on our kids, but we didn't. We've been heading down this road for a number of years now. And you can put all this together, GEA, lack of mandate relief, APPR, Common Core, all these new tests. This is an agenda that's been going on to reduce local controls of our school, to put as much control in the state education department as possible. And the parents of this state right now are rebelling against it. We have a state education department that actually put out threats to a number of districts in the past week. We had opt-outs through the roof, or I shouldn't say opt-outs, but test refusals through the roof last year. Conservative estimates were at about 60,000 statewide. And when folks took a look at that, they said that that number was probably low. And it's going to get even bigger this year because we're pouring gasoline onto a fire. And if we continue to do this, it's not the adults that are going to suffer, it's the kids. So that's, at the end of the day, what matters. It's the children of this state. It's providing them the best education system possible. And in that end, I'm asking, I'm pleading, I'm begging that we reject this bill and we go back and we get this right. We bring in the stakeholders. We get the best evaluation system we can by going out there and talking about it and bringing in all the experts and everybody we can. Talk to everybody we possibly can, and we'll get a better system that identifies proper instruction that our kids will benefit for and our districts will benefit for many, many years to come. I represent districts on Long Island. Our schools aren't failing. Doesn't matter what the narrative pushed by the executive is, our schools aren't failing. And we need policies that basically give those districts credit. You can talk to any of these high-performing districts in the state. If you think they suddenly decided to start evaluating their teachers a couple years ago when we told them we had to, then you're really not paying attention. They've had local evaluation systems for years. They've worked well. The proof is in the graduation rates, everything that goes on in those districts, the great schools those kids are going to when they move on to college. That's what college and career ready is. It's not what one of these standardized tests says. So again, I urge you to reject this budget bill. Let's go back to the drawing board. Let's get this right and do it for our children. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.